If you're spending hours formatting data, fixing formula ranges, and figuring out where to put the dollar sign in a formula, you're probably making the same mistake I was. The solution, Excel tables. So let me show you why you should use them and how they're going to save you hours of time. Let's get into it. First up, from a formatting perspective, suppose we have this row table over here, which you can download for free in the video description to follow along. So the first thing to format this, you might think of just going towards the headers and maybe changing the colors to something like an orange, and maybe also adding a white font color, and maybe we need to add some borders in here as well. Instead, by using Excel tables, all you need to do is head over to Insert and click on Table. The shortcut for that is just Control T. We're fine with this, our table has headers. Press OK, and you'll notice it formats it automatically. It adds some headers with a fill, it adds some borders, and it separates each line for us to read it a bit more easily. That's not all though, we can go over to Table Design and change the design however we want to maybe a green color if that's something you prefer. You can also create your new custom color by pressing on New Table Style. Once in the table, you might have noticed the header area has this drop down, so we can actually filter by using that. Let's suppose we only want Bill as our manager and see what transactions he's had. Press Ctrl Z there to go back. Also, you'll notice we have this header up top, which as we scroll down and we stop seeing it, if we pause for a second, you can see all of the headers. If we compare that to a row table, which is this one over here that's not in table format, you'll notice as soon as I scroll down, I can no longer tell what this was. Maybe this was the revenue, the expenses, or the profit. So I need to go back up to see what exactly it was, which is no longer the case with the table format. Admittedly, these are still some basic differences, but you might recall when using Excel formulas, we often need the dollar sign. That might be one in front of the letter, one in front of the number, or both. That's something that's very confusing for most Excel users, but luckily with tables, we don't need that at all. To show you an example with the raw data over here, you can see that we want for the Q1 what the revenue figure is, and same thing all the way down to Q4. As a solution, you might think of using the SUMIFS function. So the sum range would be all of the revenue figures, comma, the criteria range would be where all of the quarters are located. So right over here, Control Shift down arrow, comma, and the criteria number 1 is that we need it to be equals to the Q1, which is right behind this, so it's in I3. We can close the parenthesis and hit enter. That's all looking good, but as soon as we drag this down to all of the other cells, you'll notice we start to have a problem. If I double click on this last one, you'll see that the whole area has moved down, so this isn't actually getting the right numbers anymore. Instead, we have to move this back up manually. So to avoid that, we have to use the dollar signs. All we need to do here is on this range, so this red one, the quarter one, and the revenue one as well, we want to add dollar signs. The shortcut for that is pressing the F4 key. That said, do we want dollar signs on all the cells? Do we want them only on the numbers like this, or do we want them only on the letters? That's something that can be really confusing. In this case, actually two work, so that's even more confusing. So this one works where we add them in all of them, and it also works if we just add them in the rows such that they don't move. Now, if we double click here to drag it down and go to that very last one, you'll see that that red one is nice and fixed. We have to do the same thing with the blue side. So I can go back in here again, and for this blue side, we'll highlight it and press the F4 key not once, but twice there, such that it's only on the number. So you can see this is really quite difficult and tedious to do. Instead, the better method is just by using Excel tables. So over here, you can see we have the same data, except it's structured as a table. So I can just use the same SUMIFS. The sum range are all of my revenues, comma. The criteria range again are all of the quarters, comma. And the criteria 1 is that it's just equal to Q1. Now we can close a parenthesis and hit enter. The first one's done and we can drag it down, but you'll notice if we select the very last one, we don't have that same problem as before where it's moved down. If we look inside the formula, even though we didn't add the dollar signs, because it's capturing the data as the entire revenue column of this table 1 or the entire quarter column, we don't need to use those dollar signs anymore. Staying on the topic of formulas, there's an even cooler effect with tables. If we look here at the raw data set, you'll notice if we add a new row of data, let me just copy and paste Franklin here to see what happens. If I double click on this revenue column, you'll see that the Franklin is not being accounted for automatically, and instead we will need to drag this down. This is actually one of the most common mistakes I see in Excel. Instead, if we use the table format, just by going down towards Franklin again, and we'll just copy paste this person, you'll see that it's being accounted for inside of that same table. And now if I double click in here, Franklin is accounted for at the very end. If we go to Q4, it also applies there. So it's a fully dynamic range. For some of you, you might not quite like that when you use a function referencing an Excel table, it uses this type of range instead of calling it like F3 all the way to F22. This is something that can be changed. We just need to go over to File Options, and from here go over to Formulas. From here under Working with Formulas, you just need to untick on Use Table Names in Formulas to have that effect. I'm just gonna keep it on for my case. Keep in mind that if you do turn this off, it's going to lose a lot of the dynamic features we just mentioned. We've seen how tables expand when we add a new row, but what happens when we add a new column? Let's take a look over here. We've got the revenues and we've got the expenses, so it can make sense to add a profit column. Just type profit in here, you'll notice the formatting has automatically expanded, and now revenue minus expenses is a very simple formula, but once you hit enter, you'll notice that it spills down all the way to the very last one. If we compare this to the other dataset, which is unformatted, I'm just gonna call this the profit. And if I did revenue minus expenses, you'll notice that it doesn't spill down automatically. I instead need to double click here on the side for it to happen. With these new calculated columns, if we were to add new data down below, so if I go over to the table and let's say I just add a new value in here, you'll notice that the formula also spills down, so it gets accounted for in any new values that show up. From an analysis perspective, I think Excel tables have one of the fastest ways to calculate formulas like a sum, average, max, minimum, all automatically in one go. Let me show you how that works. All you need to do is, let's say, head over to this table here, and under table design, I'm gonna take on total row. When I do that, you'll notice in the bottom, I have this total table over here, which is simply summing the total profit. That said, I've got this drop down area. We can open it by clicking on it, and you'll see that we not only have the sum, but we can also choose the average, and it automatically chooses the average profit here. Same thing with the max, minimum, etc. Even better, it's not limited to this profit column. It also works with the expenses. If I go over to the next one, we have that same drop down with all of them actually. If we were to do this with the raw data over here, we would actually need to create each of these separate functions. So one would be the sum, then we would need to create the average, and so on and so forth, which is definitely a lot more tedious. Earlier in the video, we briefly mentioned that Excel tables have a filter dropdown, which is this one over here. So I can go in and only select Q1 for instance, and press on OK. You'll notice when we do that it's kind of hard to tell that this has been filtered. So if you were a new person looking at this Excel file, it wouldn't be that obvious that this has filtering included. Instead, what I think is a better solution is to use a slicer. So let me show you how that works. I just pressed Ctrl Z there to go back, and all I need to do is go to Table Design and click on Insert Slicer. Let's suppose I want one for the quarters and press on OK. I've got these slicers here to the side and they do the same thing as the filter I just showed you, but it's a lot more obvious to see that something has been filtered. We have that same filter icon on the left here, but with this quarter slicer on the side, it's a lot more user-friendly. With the check mark here, I can select more than one at a time, and I can remove all the filters with this X sign. That's not all though, we can choose a lot of different slicer styles up top, and we can also change it from a vertical style into a horizontal one by adding 4 different columns like that, which is maybe a bit nicer. One final feature that really used to frustrate me is that when we use Excel tables, it's hard to go back and convert it into a normal range. For this, you actually just need to go over to Table Design and click on Convert to Range. It's gonna ask you to confirm and just press on yes if that's what you would like. You'll notice though that it keeps all of the original formatting. So to remove it entirely, you can just select the whole area by pressing Ctrl A and going under this icon, which is the clear icon, and press on clear formats. You'll notice there that it removes all the formatting in the table. The next step after this table analysis would be to visualize the data, and one of the most in-demand skills for data visualization is Power BI, which you can learn how to use with our Power BI for Business Analytics course. In our all-inclusive curriculum, we start with data cleaning and transformation using Power Query. Then we get into data visualization tools, followed by DAX or data analysis expressions, which is what you use to build formulas in Power BI. Then, to simulate real-world scenarios, we'll practice using two extensive case studies. One will focus on building a profit and loss dashboard from scratch on Nike, while the other will focus on visualizing McDonald's European restaurant operations. And if you get stuck along the way, you can easily ask us, the course instructors, any questions. Currently, 97% of Fortune 500 companies use Power BI, so if you're looking to invest in yourself, head over to the link in the description below. Alright, back to the video. Alongside Excel tables, one formula that's been changing the way people use Excel is Group By, which you can learn how to use with this video over here or by taking our Excel course over here. Hit the like and the subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.